All right, I wanted to give a little update on the doc. I tend to be a bit of a control freak. I know that's like maybe not the most polite word to use. My friends might not use it, but I'm kind of type A on the personality types. And with that, I tend to thrive with control. When I started this thing out, I have this clear vision. I've been like processing different sound bites, different people to interview, what their story would be. And I created a working title for this doc. And the working title is Together, My Friends from Filmmaking. It might change, but right now that's the working title. That's the theme. Helps keep me recentered. And I'm 4 interviews in the last month. And it's just so funny to me. Every single time I do one of these interviews, I realize the part of me that I feel like has been my biggest strength over the years is my biggest weakness too. Having this control, having this idea of what people are going to say, and then being completely wrong in a good way. So far, I've interviewed Ross, I've interviewed Randy, I've interviewed Sean, and I've interviewed Noah. All 4 of these interviews are so different in such good ways. The very first interview with Ross, I figured we'd sit down for an hour, chat, get a few things, and I knew we'd do multiple interviews, but I had a good sense of what his answers would be. And they were so much better than what I expected. And they took me in a totally different direction. And it wound up being a nearly 3-hour-long interview. Same thing happens. I go to interview Noah and I have this sense of what I think he's going to say. And in addition to the interviews, it's like even capturing the B-roll for this stuff. I'm just realizing that like the interviews are one portion, but supporting the characters and humanizing them has been an even bigger driver, a bigger realization from one interview to the next. Every single time I do one, I'm like, ooh, this feels even more special than what I realized. And it's informing who I should interview, what I should do next, how I can be a better director. Like with Ross's, I had like a list of questions and I found myself not going to that at all. When I get to Noah's, it was kind of the same thing where I had these prepared things and he took me on a totally different adventure. And by the time I was doing Sean's, I wasn't coming up with questions. I was just thinking about who he was in relation to me and asking questions based on curiosity. And then getting to Randy, we've been friends for 20 to 25 years at this point. And when I'm doing his interview, I had a few things that I wanted to hit and I kept it more of a flow and it was more focused on our relationship together. It unlocks something else that is a part of the story or this part of the story. And I'm also starting to see each one of them connect the story in such a fun way. I've always had this idea of being a documentary filmmaker. Again, being on crews, doing several brand story films, more documentary-based stuff. I've never done a project of this scope. And it's so interesting seeing all these kind of connect the dots. I feel like it's unlocking different parts of my brain. It's making me a better interviewer. It's keeping me excited. I still have 3 more interviews to do before we wrap up phase 1. And at that point, I'm going to refocus the story. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know how this is going to go. Loosey-goosey, my plan is to do production for 2026, to enter into post-production in 2027. I'm just learning a lot. And I find every time I do a personal project, I grow. And that's huge to me. I think that's huge to any creative. Number 2, I create an opportunity for myself. It's less of an idea now. And it's more of a like, there's something here. This feels special. It feels like I'm at a pivotal moment in my career. And I cannot wait to see what comes for 2027, just based on all of what we're doing, the things that we're learning. I'm on such a high note right now, and I'm so excited. And I'm sure there's going to come moments that I'm not going to be as excited about this. I think looking back when this is all done, I'm going to have all this data collected. I'm going to have all this information I'm able to look back on. Like I've even been tracking like all the expenses with this. Since this is a self-funded project, I want to track those expenses. I want to get a good estimate because right now, someone came to me, I couldn't estimate a project like this. I don't know if there will be another project like this. I'm learning a lot. I'm developing as a director. And I'm excited about this project. So if you've been tuning in, listening in, I'm going to keep trying to do these things and unpack these things. If there's questions that you have, feel free to submit them in the comments. I would love to have topics to kind of build off of this and to answer some of these questions. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I imagine at some point I'm going to uncover some of these things and you might be helping me think about things. Thanks for watching. Hope this helps. Appreciate you. And until freaking next time.
It's just so nice to be able to just go into a room full of like-minded people and just know that like, doesn't matter where you're from, doesn't matter who you are, what you've done, like this is a family.